The Padres bounce back to beat the New York Mets 7-4 in the second game of their crucial three-game series. Welcome into another edition of Friar Territory. I'm Kyle Glaser, alongside the great Heath Bell. Heath, the Padres got thumped in the opener 8-3. They needed to bounce back, and they did so in a big way tonight.
No, they looked pretty good tonight. It was a little back and forth a little bit, but the boys got some runs early, and it kind of helped out, and maybe got a little scary at the very end. But it was a good game. It was a good baseball game, I'd like to say. I mean, we made some running blunders. We didn't run hard. Not going to say any names, Diaz, but run hard all the time, especially the little guys. Little league always run all the way until pass home plate. Don't always assume anything. So anyway, we'll talk about that.
Absolutely. There is a lot to talk about tonight. We will get to that. But first and foremost, Manny Machado with the big blow, a tie-breaking grand slam in the fifth inning. Heath, we've talked a lot about Manny Machado, his struggles throughout August and into early September. We're starting to see him heat back up. And for the Padres, it's all you can really ask for. They need the best version of Manny Machado to achieve all of their stated goals. And we're starting to see him come back. Over his last four games, Manny Machado is now 8 for 15, 3 homers, 8 RBIs. We saw him start to get his swing back in order a little bit during the Colorado series, the games Friday, Saturday, took the finale off, followed by the off day, got 48 hours to just relax, reset, rest up. And we're seeing the results. His 3 hits tonight were his first 3-hit game in well over a month, big grand slam. We're starting to see the best version of Manny Machado, and it has to be a very, very, very big relief and also a happy occurrence for the Padres, given how much he means to their lineup.
I think he finally got that off day, and it was a day game, off day, night game. So, and, the first game back, he did get 1 hit. That was yesterday. I just think, he's a little refreshed, a little renewed. And also there's a picture of him blowing a bubble as he's starting to jog after the grand slam. And that's the Machado that he does well. And when he's just chewing gum and hitting and blowing bubbles. And it's like, it's not something I'm a big fan of, but it's one of those things when he's just in the mode and he's just a hitter and he's kind of like in the zone. There's some hitters that can do that. They can just chew and blow bubbles after, hit, go, and then go and start chopping and jog the bases. So, man, the Padres are going to need Manny this week and the next week to really kind of take this team going, and also the other players that are tearing it up and, into the playoffs. This is the time to get hot, boys.
Absolutely. The Padres have hit 11 home runs in their last 5 games. Jackson Merrill has 4 home runs in his last 6 games. Machado 3 in his last 4 games. We're starting to see the key players really step up in big situations. But Heath, going back to the Grand Slam, I thought what was really encouraging was we saw once again the Padres do the little things that led to the big thing. That inning starts off with Jake Cronenworth falling behind 0-2 in the count, battling back, working an 8-pitch at bat, getting hit by a pitch. Elias Diaz comes out, lays down a sacrifice bunt. Fernando Tatis Jr. comes up, falls behind the count 1-2, works a 7-pitch at bat, draws a walk. Luis Arias lays down a bunt single, and that loads the bases for Machado. The Padres, when they're at their best, are doing that. They're using the little things to set up the big thing. And I thought that this was one of the first times we've seen them do it against a non-Rockies team over the past few weeks. And I think if the Padres can continue doing that, that's the best version of this team. Again, I just think we saw a lot of really good things that inning, from the quality of the at-bats to, how they were, their pitch selection. Tatis laid off some close pitches. I just thought it was a really, really good inning that showed what the Padres look like when their offense is at their best.
I just think the Padres are at their best when they play small ball. And trust me, small ball is not just not hit home runs. Everybody thinks it's bunt. It's got hit over, hit the guy over, slash, sack flies. Yeah, those are all in quick, but then it turns into a solo home run. It turns into a grand slam because it's like, geez, these guys are just on base. They're just doing this and that. It's like, okay, well, and then all of a sudden the big hit comes up. And if you look at the Padres back in April, they were doing that. They were bunting. They were getting guys over there, stealing bases. Then I think they fell off a little bit mid-season. Maybe it was, everybody was doing great and they tried to hit more home runs. I don't know. Bring Slam Diego back. But they're starting to do it now. And if they can play small ball, play good fundamental baseball, these next 2 weeks going into the playoffs, gosh, the sky's the limit for them.
And look, they did make some mistakes tonight, which we'll get to. But when you do more things right than not, more often than not, you're going to put yourself in a good position to win. You mentioned the home runs, Ramon Laureano with a big home run in the top of the ninth for insurance. So again, it all works together. Little things, big things. Again,
like, Sheets had the sack fly. Cronenworth has done that. Yep. Merrill, it's like, it's just little things here and there. And then boom, Machado, boom, Tatis. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I do have to ask, what did you think of the pitch selection there during the Machado grand slam from David Peterson? Peterson threw a 93-mile-an-hour fastball down the middle that Machado fouled back, something we have seen him do a concerning amount in recent weeks. And then Peterson went with a breaking ball to speed his bat up, and Machado hit it 400 feet into the left center field stands. What do you think of the pitch selection there?
I think it was a bad pitch selection, to be honest with you. I think he threw a fastball because he fouled it straight back, but then it was like, okay, he's probably going to gear up for another fastball and be ahead, and then threw a breaking ball. And I don't think he was thinking properly. Like, it's late in the season. Your bat's a little bit slower. You could probably hit off speed pitches a little bit better. I think late in the season, you throw a little bit more fastballs because guys are they're going to foul stuff off, but their bat speed's just not what it is. They kind of have to cheat to get there. And I don't really see Machado as a, guess hitter. He's more of a reaction hitter. So, see it and hit ball and react to the pitches. So I just thought it was a bad pitch selection. I mean, happy for our end, but just as a pitcher, is like, dude, that was not the best pitch to throw. If you're going to throw that pitch, get it down, get it way down where he can't lift it. So, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, no question about it. And we talk about it. It's not just Manny Machado. He's leading the charge. Again, 8 for 15 over his last 4 games, but Fernando Tatis Jr. is hitting 389 over his last 5. Jake Cronenworth, 357 over his last 5. Luis Urias, 353 over his last 4. This is when the Padres are dangerous, when all of their best guys are hitting all at once. And we have not seen that happen much this season. And again, we're talking a very small sample here. We're talking 4 or 5 games. But you got to start somewhere. And I do think that after, frankly, 5 to 6 weeks of this offense being a 2 to 3 run per game offense, it's encouraging, especially doing so against a team that isn't the Rockies. Because that was always the caveat. Well, yeah, they're scoring runs against the Rockies. Can they do it against anyone else? Look, David Peterson's been struggling recently, but he's a good pitcher. The Mets do have a good bullpen. I thought this was just, again, a very, very encouraging performance by the Padres in the context of a few encouraging performances offensively over the last 5 to 6 games.
Yeah, it's good to see. It's just it's a little weary because if everything stays the way it is, the Mets that's who we're going to be playing in the playoffs. And it's just going to be like, you don't want to throw all your eggs in one basket, but you need to get there anyway. And we have a chance of winning the division, and hopefully the Phillies can come back and win. And, we're 1 game back, and, we can change the dynamic of stuff. So I still feel like it's going to happen that way, but, we need to take care of business first, and everything else will fall into place.
As you mentioned, the Padres with the win tonight are a 1.5 games back of the Dodgers, pending the outcome of tonight's Dodgers-Phillies game. Either way, the Padres will wake up tomorrow morning either 1 game back of the Dodgers or 2 games back of the Dodgers for the division lead in the NL West. Once again, they've put themselves in a good position with tonight's win. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Heath, we've talked a lot about the offense, but we need to talk about the pitching, particularly how ridiculous Mason Miller has been in recent weeks. We're going to take a quick break, hear a word from our sponsors, then we'll dive right in. Football is back, and so is your shot at big wins. With DraftKings Pick 6, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, your game day instincts can score you real money. Here's the play. Just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and unlock the upside every snap brings. The better your calls, the bigger your payout. And here's the kickoff bonus. New DraftKings customers get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. This season, play your player instincts. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL. Play just $5. Get $50 in Pick 6 bonus picks. Make the call. Ride the upside. In partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, Heath, we've talked a lot about the Padres offense, how they exploded for 7 runs tonight. Manny Machado's tie-breaking grand slam being the biggest blow on a very, very good offensive night for the Padres. At the same time, the bullpen had to come up big, and they did once again. In the 7th inning, Mets had the tying run at the plate. The Padres brought in Mason Miller to face Juan Soto and Pete Alonso, 2 of the most dangerous hitters in baseball. And Miller struck both of them out. We talk about sports, all sports being a game of inches. Juan Soto missed the potential game-tying 2-run homer by mere inches, just foul, left field foul pole. Nonetheless, Miller bounced back, struck him out, struck out Pete Alonso, and then, oh, by the way, pitched a 1-2-3 eighth. Once again, we have seen pure dominance from Mason Miller since he arrived at the trade deadline. I thought tonight was one of his most impressive performances, just given who he was facing and the situation in the game.
Yeah, I think Jason Miller is definitely one of those best pickups. I mean, he's going to hopefully he turns into, everybody goes, what did Oakland give up? So he's that dominant force right now. My son and I always talk about him. He really wants him to close, but I feel like being that 7th, 8th inning guy, to have that right there, he's kind of bridges that gap to Robert Suarez right now. And I know Robert's not going 1, 2, 3, but it's okay. He's getting the job done. But Miller is that everybody's fearing him right now. So, and he is dominant as any pitcher can be. And it's awesome to have him on our side. It's like, man, it's almost like a video game somewhere. I don't even want to say that because I feel like I'm jinx him. But the way he's pitching and the way he's going about it, it seems like, it's a video game. It's unfair.
Absolutely. Mason Miller allowed 3 hits and 2 runs in his first 2 outings as a Padre. Since then, he has made 16 straight scoreless appearances, 17 1/3 innings during that stretch, 4 hits allowed, 5 walks, and 33 strikeouts. It has been one of the most dominant stretches in recent memory of any reliever. And Heath, I wanted to ask you this because, once again, you played with some of the best relievers of all time. You set up Trevor Hoffman, and you yourself were one of the best closers in your day. Can you remember another stretch as dominant as this, and just how impressed are you?
I had Billy Wagner, Johnny Franco, Trevor Hoffman, Benito Santiago when he was dominating.
You mean Armando Benitez?
Armando Benitez, sorry. I'm bad with Latin names. I can't remember this stretch of it, just like domination. Of, oh my gosh, because there was always one team or one guy that had somebody's number.
Yeah.
It was, Trevor just didn't pitch well against Colorado. Billy Wagner, for some reason, the Cardinals had his number. It just, I don't know. It's one of those that it's almost like Paul Schemes in the bullpen, and this conversation actually came up with my son. Next year, do you want him to be the starter, Miller to be a starter, or be the closer? You got a dominant closer, but could he be a Paul Schemes? So it's just it's fun to talk about. Let's put it this way. But right now, let's get back to this season. But yeah, it's just fun to talk about because he's so filthy and just like I said, it's like Bugs Bunny. It's cartoonish, it's video game-ish. How good he's doing, and yeah, and I don't even think he realizes it. And I think the team realizes, okay, he's dominant, he's shutting it down, but nobody's actually looking at the numbers and going, dude, this is like stupid numbers. This is Bugs Bunny numbers, So I think they're just trying to win every game. And I think Miller is that type of guy that he doesn't care about that. He cares about tomorrow. So,
yeah. Really, it was a great moment tonight, blowing 103 past Juan Soto and then getting him looking on a slider. Pete Alonso comes up, got him to chase.
Trust me, every Padre is loving the Juan Sotos. The very Robert Suarez gets him out, Miller gets him out. Yeah. So,
you bring up an interesting situation. Pushing aside whether the Padres try and make him a starter next year, there are some health track record issues there that we'll deal with when that time comes.
Yeah.
Given how dominant he's been, naturally, there is a significant portion of the fan base that would like to see him become the Padres closer. Robert Suarez has been dominant really since the start of July. again, he had that bad outing against the Reds the other day when he was put in a position he really should not have been in the first place. But beyond that, he's been excellent. And once again, he's right up there with the major league leaders in saves. On the whole, he has been excellent this year, but especially dominant the second half. How do you view this situation with Mason Miller and Robert Suarez? Do you prefer to leave it as is, or would you like to start seeing Miller get some nights?
No, honestly, I would keep it the way it is. I mean, I remember when I was pitching, hey, I was really good, but we had Mike Adams, the setup guy.
Yep.
And Mike ended up closing a little bit with Texas a couple years later, but he could have easily closed. And sometimes he had filthier stuff than me, but it worked really well. You know, we fed off each other, and we could have switched us and we'd probably been fine, but it just worked well. You know, sometimes when someone's working like this, because, you know, Robert hasn't really come in the eighth inning and then pitched the ninth. He's done a little bit of it, but not too much, where I feel like here's the one thing that I always say. Other teams fear aces and they fear certain names. Robert Suarez, they're like, yeah, he's good. But I think when Miller comes around, it's like, oh, crap, we got Miller. So, and I feel like if it's like that, and then they're like, dude, if we get Miller and then Suarez, dude, this is over. Like, we got to win. We got to have the lead before the seventh inning. Otherwise, we're screwed. And I think if you switch it, it's going to switch up the mojo. So I'd keep it the same, even though my son gets mad at me all the time. He's like, no, they need to switch it. Miller's a better, you know, and I'm like, but you need that gap. And if you look at sometimes the seventh, eighth inning wins the game with the best, you know, reliever. And, you know, we had Luke Gregerson I had Luke Gregerson and I had Mike Adams in front of me that were dominant, and they both became closers, and they were filthy. And it's almost like having three closers out there, and we lose Adams. But, you know, we still have two great guys out there, and we got some other guys that have really good arms too. So, you know, I think other clubs are like, man, we better have the lead by the fifth or sixth inning or this game's over.
Yeah, Robert Suarez since July 3rd, 1.80 ERA. He's converted 15 of 17 save opportunities. He's been dominant. Again, tonight, it was a little shaky. The Mets, once again, were able to get the tying run to the plate in Juan Soto. Juan Soto hit a hard comebacker right at Suarez. He was able to knock it down, make the throw to first to close it out. So there's no question Suarez has not been as dominant as Miller, but you're right. Changing up guys' roles this late in the season, especially when on the whole it is working, just not the best idea.
You want to keep the mojo. I mean, there was probably times that people were like, hey, Trevor's getting up there in age and I need to take over. And I was like, and I know media came to me and I'm like, no, like my job is to get him the ball. You know, that was my mindset. It wasn't like I'm going to take his job. So, and I think that's the way Miller is too, is my job is to get it to Robert, and Robert's going to close this out and we're going to win this game. So I don't think anybody in the clubhouse is thinking anything different. I just think, you know, some people just see it's the end of the season. Hey, Robert's probably not coming back. And then Miller could be that guy. And it's hard to say, you know, put Miller anywhere else. I think a real baseball guy, real bullpen guys understand. Seventh, eighth inning is where you pretty much win the game, because in the ninth inning, the hitters have a lot of pressure because it's do or die. And I think the pitchers can feed off of that a little bit more. There's not too many hitters that are like, oh, geez, you know, I feel really relaxed in the ninth inning. It's more, I feel like the pitchers, the crazy ones in the bullpen, are more relaxed in the ninth inning. So, but I mean, like you said, we were talking about, well, next year, do you want Miller to start? He could be a Paul Schemes, you know, who knows? So, and I'm like, I don't know. I'd like to keep him in the bullpen. But
well, again, the issue there is Mason Miller has never thrown more than 100 innings in a season at any level, college, minors, whereas Paul Schemes was throwing 100 innings in college. He's had a lot of health issues. So, again, there are certainly questions about whether that's feasible. But for now, he's in the Padres bullpen. He is dominating, and we are witnessing one of the best stretches by any reliever in recent memory. Again, Mariano Rivera had dominant stretches. Trevor Hoffman had dominant stretches. More recently, Craig Kimbrell in his prime, Aroldis Chapman in his prime. I'm not going to sit here and say we've never seen anything like it. We've absolutely seen stretches of 15, 16 to 20 straight scoreless appearances by dominant closers. But 4 hits allowed, 5 walks, and 33 strikeouts in 17 to third innings. It's something special.
The Padres have never seen it. Let's put it that way.
I don't know. I think we might have to look back at Trevor's best stretches. And hey, they did have a
Goose Scotch has probably had some good stretches
and
too.
Raleigh Fingers. And hey, they had a Cy Young Award-winning closer in Mark Davis. So you're part of a very, very elite club. The Padres have had a lot of bad teams over the years. They've had good closers pretty much throughout their history, and you're, of course, a big part of that.
So, appreciate it. Makes me feel good. Also makes me feel old with all this gray. But anyway.
All right, Heath, we've got a lot more to talk about, including one other member of the Padres bullpen that is struggling right now. I want to get your thoughts on Jeremiah Estrada, and we will look ahead to tomorrow's afternoon finale between the Mets and the Padres to see who will take the series.
Kratz, I'm going to steal a line right from the top here about MeUndies. A cut for every butt. I took a line that I feel like you would enjoy, but then you stole my thunder with show and tell. What do you have there?
Besides a huge Baduka dunk, this is my pair of MeUndies that I got. I'm not going to show you the other pair right now because I got them on, but it doesn't even feel like you have them on. Super soft, flexible, and yet holding everything together.
I love the 20 different styles, 100 different colors and prints, and the micro-modal fabric is what you're talking about. Breathable, stretchy, unbelievably cozy. And right now, as a listener of FT, you can get cozy and spooky for less with deals up to 50% off at MeUndies.com/foul and enter promo code FOUL. That's MeUndies.com/foul, promo code foul for up to 50% off. MeUndies, comfort that's made for fall.
All right, Heath, we mentioned Manny Machado's tie-breaking grand slam gave the Padres a 6-2 lead, but the Mets were able to cut to 6-4, and part of that was Francisco Alvarez homering off Jeremiah Estrada to make it 6-4. Jeremiah Estrada, as we've talked about, has been one of the core relievers for the Padres all year, but we're starting to see him struggle here recently. He has a 9.90 ERA over his last dozen appearances. He's allowed 5 homers in 10 innings pitched. This was his 72nd appearance of the year. Do you just chalk it up purely to fatigue at this point?
So right now what I see from Estrada is he's probably getting a little tired. And I'm not there day to day to kind of give him some advice, but I will say it seems like his split finger is fastball. They're starting to be before it was as a hitter, it's coming down the same arm angle, same height. Everything's the same. You can't tell if it's going to be that split or it's just going to stay here and it's going to be that fastball. Where I feel like the splitter it's not the same angle anymore. And it could be because of fatigue. So they kind of pick up, they know it's an off-speed pitch and they know when it's a fastball. Not saying he's tipping pitches, but I think you try to, raise your arm a little bit more or drop it when you get a little tired. And it just seems like his arm angle is a little bit different because the pitches aren't coming out. Like normally he throws a fastball up in the zone and it just stays plain. And then the split looks like it's going to be up in the zone and then drops to the bottom of the zone and it's not bouncing. And I feel like he's throwing more bouncing pitches. So it's starting off lower than where his fastball is and vice versa. And hitters pick that up, especially at the end of the year. So I really think it's just fatigue. Yeah. I think it's probably maybe he needs to get his legs under him a little bit or I don't know, take a day off of throwing or something like that, or, hey, go get a massage or something. So there's just something I feel like, if he gets like a day or two of just rest, I think he'll be okay, but he's probably starting to think about it a little bit more since it's been like 2 weeks. He's kind of been struggling and maybe he's starting to second guess himself. And as soon as you do that, you're not 100% convicted and your pitches don't drop as much and they're not, as sharp as you would want them to be.
Yeah, it's over this stretch, 10 innings pitched, 14 hits allowed, 11 earned runs, 5 homers, as I mentioned. So he's just been very, very, very hittable. There have been some walks in there as well, but the real issue is how hittable he's been. You kind of mentioned this earlier, but I did want to ask, what do you think the solution is? Is it just, hey, give him 2-3 days off? Is it just he needs to go do some different things with his rehab? What's the best way to fix this? Because the Padres are going to need the best version of Jeremiah Estrada down the stretch and into the postseason for them to achieve their goals.
My biggest thing is I'd probably put him in a situation to build his confidence. And that's going to be him going out there and doing well. And first of all, I'd go and make sure he's not dropping his arm on one pitch or the other to make sure that, it's the exact same. And then it's just build that confidence because sometimes you're just not going well. And then you're pitching, you're trying to be confident. You tell everybody you are, but just secretly you're like, oh man, I just want to 1, 2, 3 inning and put an eggshell up there. And you just need an outing where you strike maybe 1 or 2 guys out or strike the side out and you kind of feel like, baby, I'm back. And, sometimes you go 1, 2, 3 and the guys hit the balls and they just hit it at people and you're like, whew, I got away lucky. You're not real confident yet. So it's going to be really him. I think maybe not pitch in New York because New York's kind of a hard place and the hitters. But maybe if he gets on a little streak, maybe with the White Sox, they're not as good at hitters. Maybe pitch 2 of the 3 games there. And if he does really well, even if we're winning big, put him out there, get some strikeouts underneath his belt, build that confidence back up, and then he'll be fine with Milwaukee and Arizona to finish the season. So I think it really just going to boil down to him and confidence, really. Double check, make sure he's not dropping his arm and different stuff. But for the most part, I think it's going to be confidence.
Yeah, we'll see if he's able to self-correct. And that brings us to tomorrow's finale. The Padres will be looking to win the series, and this is going to be a big one for them. We've talked a lot about the Padres' road struggles all year. They have lost 10 of their 11 road series against teams with winning records. If they can take this series, it will be just the second time all year they've beaten a team with a winning record on the road over the course of a series, and the first time they've done it since May. Randy Vasquez gets the ball for the Padres tomorrow against Jonah Tong. Randy Vasquez has delivered back-to-back solid 6-inning starts, and I do think it's going to be important for him to give the Padres some length tomorrow, given Michael King only lasted 3 innings. He did not have his stuff. He did not have his command. The Mets jumped on him, and that game got away early. Nick Pivetta only 4 2/3 innings tonight. So again, back-to-back starts where the Padres didn't get 5 from their starter. I do think length from Randy Vasquez is going to be a key to watch for tomorrow.
Randy if he can throw 5, 6 innings, it's really going to help the Padres.
Yeah.
I think it's going to come down to if the Padres can, score first. I think Randy will just set in and say, okay, I got this. I'll keep us having a lead.
Yeah.
I'll keep us in the game. I think Randy's the type of pitcher that can do that, especially with this Mets offense. I mean, they're good, but he'll keep them at bay. But it's going to be important for the Padres offense to kind of jump ahead, even if it's 1 or 2 runs like they did tonight, just 1 here, 1 there, manufacturing some runs before the big grand slam. So that's going to be the key to kind of, it sets the tone of the game. So that's just basically what's going to happen. The Padres need to keep hitting, and then Randy just needs to do what Randy's been doing. And and hopefully King will figure it out. So I just don't know what's going on with him. He just doesn't look confident right now.
Yeah, I did want to bring this up with you. We saw in his first start back from the injured list last week against the Reds, 5 innings, gave up 2 solo home runs, but was efficient, got through 5. All in all, a solid outing, especially for his first start back from the IL. Against the Mets, once again, did not have his stuff, did not have his command, served up 4 home runs. What is your concern level right now, especially with the long balls he's giving up?
My concern is he's going through – it's like spring training, as in I'm trying to build my arm up, trying to get my fastball there. I'm trying to get my breaking ball there, get my pitches in. How about location? How about trying to be convicted? I'm going to throw a fastball down and away. Not I'm just going to throw my fastball. That's where I think guys nowadays don't pitch. They're all about throwing and executing their pitches. And it's like, well, when my fastball's on, nobody can hit it because it moves and all this. Well, all you got to do is throw in a certain location. It doesn't matter. Greg Maddox, the guy behind me right now, he could say, I'll tell you what's coming, but I'm going to throw it where you can't hit it, or you can't hit it good. 90% of the time you're going to bait it into the ground or pop it up, but you know what's coming. So, and it's like, geez, what would you rather do, that or just have this nasty pitch? But once in a while, I don't know where it's going. So, and I just feel like King is going through the motions a little bit, and I could be completely wrong in this, but just what I see, it's like, he's not, it's more about like, in my pitches good, my legs feel good, does my arm feel good? Not, hey, let me locate these pitches and everything else will fall into place. That's what I'm just worried about. And some of the things I've read and I'm watching him, it's almost like, it's like when Darvish first came back, it's like, well, he's only pitched so many innings and so many pitches yet, he's this. And it's like, yeah, but don't you want to win now? Like, don't you? That's what the whole thing is, rehab for, and then come back and you're pitching really good again. So I don't know. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, the Padres did not send Michael King out for a rehab start. He's given up 6 home runs in 8 innings since his return.
And it's just like a bad location.
We will see if he's able to turn it around because, again, the Padres absolutely need the ace version of Michael King if they are going to go as far in the playoffs as they hope to. Heath, this has been another great show with you. Any final thoughts here as we wrap up the Padres 7-4 victory over the Mets?
Well, I'm going to give some bad juju to the Dodgers. Sorry, Roberts. But the Padres, what they need to do is they need to take care of business. I believe they can take care of business with the Mets. But then, come on, the White Sox, you should be sweeping them up. Everybody should be hitting with that. And then, Milwaukee, it should be like the Mets. You should be, taking care of business, win the series. And then it's going to come down to Arizona, because if you don't take care of the season or the series of the Mets and the White Sox and Milwaukee, that Arizona series is going to be really important. So, because they're creeping up slowly. So, boys, just keep hitting your location, and fans, hey, just keep rooting them on, and they'll feel it, and they'll have that energy to finish out the season.
We shall see. Like you said, they get Milwaukee and Arizona to close out the season next week. But first, they have to take care of business in this finale against the Mets, and then a 3-game series against the White Sox. We're in the final stretch. The Padres have 10 games left in the season. They are chasing the Dodgers for a division lead. We will see if they're able to take care of business and overtake the Dodgers. In the meantime, please, once again, go ahead and subscribe to Friar Territory on YouTube. Hit that like button, 5 stars, all the good stuff. We'd love to hear from you. The show continues to grow thanks to your support, and we want to keep going up, and up, just like the Padres hope to. For Heath Bell, I'm Kyle Glaser. Thank you for watching and listening. We will see you later this week.